What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with another lucky dip, essentially. Which is to say, this comes from Han Solo, a great friend of the channel, though it doesn't come from the miscellaneous folder that he put aside with a bunch of random tunes in it. It comes from another thing he suggested, which is to say, there is apparently a group that started as an educational project and then evolved to include actual reproductions, not just of instruments, but of performances of ancient Roman and I think also Etruscan, which is sort of related, but ancient Roman music. They're called Synaulia. They released 2 albums, one in '96, which is music of ancient Rome, wind instruments, and then in 2002 they released music of ancient Rome, string instruments. We're going to start with the wind instruments. So again, because this comes a bit, out of the blue, it's, a bit random, I'm going to throw it in the Lucky Dip folder. I'm also going to maybe put it in the classical or the Lucky Dip playlist. I'm also going to put it in the classical playlist because it seems that's as appropriate as anything. Now, I reacted to an ancient Greek piece when I began my classical music reactions. Surely it's over a year ago now, which means like the sound levels probably aren't great, whatever. But when I did that reaction, I talked about how with ancient Greek music, the tidbits, the fragments we have, including for the, Epitaph of Sekalos, I think, which is a funeral piece written for his deceased wife, a person who lived, over 2,000 years ago. But yeah, I mentioned in that reaction that ancient Greek musical notation is not the same as modern musical notation, and so that piece and a few other ancient Greek pieces that I've heard performed and recorded in modern times, they are approximations. Now, it's likely pretty close, but the point is, it's not perfectly translatable to the way we now notate music, and there's a bit of ambiguity about what the arrangement and the symbols mean. So again, it's probably a pretty close approximation, but those pieces they're guesses essentially for what something might have sounded like, and I believe it's the same for Roman music, but my understanding is a bit more limited, which is weird because surely when I took that history of Western classical music course in college as an undergrad, surely we spent time talking about Roman music, but I have sort of a blind spot there. I remember the very early period of the class where we were talking about some of the earliest musical fragments we have from the Western world, which again, largely are like ancient Greek tidbits, including things, again, it was like a funeral piece for someone's wife. It wasn't, like a grand piece of state or whatever. So again, with historians, you got to work with what's still around, and the longer back you go, the less that is. But again, without knowing for sure, I would estimate that it's the same for ancient Roman music. Either way, the first tune on the Wind Instrument album, '96, is called Pavor, which I believe translates to panic. I should mention, when I heard some of those ancient Greek pieces in the context of that history of Western classical music class, they were a bit more like exotic or like Mediterranean sounding. Now I get it, like the Mediterranean, it's very much the setting of, the ancient world that, Greek city-states were a part of and so on. But, again, when I first heard it, it just had a bit more of a wow, this has a almost like Near Eastern kind of feel to it, and it was just different than I expected. So, not remembering Roman music, even though on some level I must have studied it at least for a couple weeks many years ago, I would maybe expect it to be the same. Either way, let's hear it. This is a tune, Pavor, that translates to panic. It's the first track on Synaulia's 1996 Music of Ancient Rome Volume 1, Wind Instruments. those voices. That instrument definitely has an old world type of feel. And they're spent. Yeah, well, that was lovely. Let's now go to the Colosseum and watch a lion eat a captive human. Yeah, really cool, and very much like that exotic sort of, quasi-Eastern sound that, or like feeling that I remember having when I first heard some ancient Greek music. And ultimately, the overlapping cultural and artistic stylings and aesthetics of Minoan civilization, ancient Greek civilization, Roman civilization, and so on. There was overlap, there was influence, there was cross-pollination, if you will. So none of that would surprise me if, ancient Roman music sounded not terribly different from ancient Greek music. But yeah, ultimately, a cool piece. I mean, again, those vocals, they didn't sound panicked, they sounded ecstatic, they sounded in some cases like excited. I feel like making the joke orgasmic because there were a couple that sounded more sensual and, knowing the concept of orgies and so on, but I doubt that would be, something that would be overtly explored in this sort of archaeological, educational project. But definitely those vocals were a bit surprising in that they felt less panicked and they felt more jubilant or indeed ecstatic. So yeah, curious about the nature of the piece overall, but definitely one that, again, it has that old world sound, and I don't know what type of wind instrument, but that one that has sort of a kind of a dissonant, like braying type of sound. Whatever instrument that is absolutely used in some ancient Greek pieces that I'm familiar with. So yeah, definitely, like, that's a big part of the way that one hits. So yeah, looking forward to going through. In the moment, I'm forgetting if both albums are available. I know the 96 one is available. In the moment, I'm forgetting if the other one is there, and I don't have it open, so I apologize, but I'm sure Han Solo will comment. Do let me know what you think of this, and I definitely will be keen to go through the remainder, at least, of the first album, just because as a historian, as a music lover, it feels like a convergence of two of the major interests of my life. So once again, shout out to Han Solo for sharing everything, as well as the patience as I come around to things, which, if you're watching this far into the video, and this is a test, sometimes I feel like people, they'll write comments that are like, wait a minute, hold on, I addressed that, either in the intro or the outro, whatever. But there was a comment when I started doing the New Order record that I just got from friend of the channel, Eric, that, maybe you still should have done Joy Division and so on first. I was thinking the other day about Love Will Tear Us Apart, and it was like, man, that's the only tune I think I know by them, so it felt like, maybe I should go through that. So sometime soon I'm going to go through the Joy Division album that is in the folder, the Ice Drive folder that Han Solo has made available. So shout out to you, and if you mention Joy Division in the comments, I will know that you watched this far. Let me know what you think. I will see you next time. Peace.